Okay guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be doing an analysis of my recent race in the City2Surf. The City2Surf is a very big race in Sydney, Australia, and is quite possibly one of the biggest fun runs in the world, I think. I think there's over 90,000 people that compete each year, so quite a lot of people. So it is very big and a lot of people sign up for it, but today I'm going to be doing my breakdown analysis of how I went in this race and hopefully see where I could improve for next time or things I did well or some other things that you can look for in this race. So I will just pull up my Strava and my Garmin now and I can show you the race. So this is the race. You can see the map here and you can see that I did 14k in total time of 48 minutes and 45 seconds, which is an average pace of 3:29. So this is very good and was a PB for me in compared to last year. So last year I did 49:15 and so it was a 30-second PB. So very happy with that. Um, and down here you can just see all the graphs of the elevation, the pace, the heart rate, and further down you can see some of the more in-depth stuff with the stride length, power, running cadence, vertical ratio, ground contact time, stamina. So a lot of different things. And so if we look at the statistics here, we can see a lot of different things we can look into. So first of all, let's look at the heart rate and the self-evaluation. So obviously a very maximum effort here, 10 out of 10 maximum perceived effort, and a very weak feeling that I put in as the post-race self-evaluation. And then this matches with obviously the heart rate, which can indicate very maximal effort with an average heart rate of 171, which is extraordinarily high even for someone like me, and a max heart rate of 189. So very high. And this is 92% of my maximum heart rate and 102% of my max, both average and max heart rate recorded in this run. And then you can see that the self-evaluation also matches with the training effect. So it says that the primary benefit was the VO2 max, but then also demonstrates both aerobic and anaerobic capacity on a scale of 5. So it tells you whether you're overreaching, maintaining, underperforming, or stable, and it gives you a performance indicator out of 5 on aerobic or anaerobic. So maximum aerobic capacity reached, and pretty high on the anaerobic capacity too, even for a long run. But it makes sense when you're trying to have a very high pace or heart rate and pace, and it is a maximal effort. So it does make sense why both training effect and heart rate are very high in this particular run. And then if we look down at the pace, obviously we looked at before the average pace was 3:29, and then it also gives us average moving pace, your best pace, and your grade adjusted pace, which is just how fast you're moving when you're going up or down hills. And this course was a very hilly course, so having a grade adjusted pace was or is beneficial in this particular case when you have a lot of hills in a course. So if we switch this to the speed, we can see the average pace of about 3:29 to 3:27, depending on the grade adjusted pace. It was about 17.3 kilometers per hour, and the max speed, which was what was it, 249 per kilometer, is equal to 21.3 kilometers per hour. So that is very fast that we got up to, but also very hard. So then I mentioned that the elevation for this course was very, very high, and it had a lot of hills. So we had 197 meters of ascent and 221 meters of descent. So there was a lot of climb with a maximum elevation of 84.6 meters. So a lot of climbing, a lot of hills, which made it even more difficult to try to hit the target pace. So very, very hard. Um, we went through a lot of the specific running dynamics in my last analysis video where I went in depth for each one of these. And obviously they're going to be different for this one, but I probably won't go as in depth for this specific analysis video, but I will still go through them. So running cadence 180 steps per minute with a max of 198, which is very, very good. It is often said in a lot of running literature that 180 steps per minute is um, an ideal cadence to have running when you're trying to do relatively maximal or close to maximal effort. Um, so this was not well intentional. I did not try like set out to go this specific, but it just so happened that I hit about 180 steps per minute, so which is very, very good. 1.58 meters on average stride length and an average vertical oscillation, which just means um average vertical movement was 10 centimeters. So if you convert it into your vertical ratio, that's 6.3%, which is relatively good. I'm happy that's quite a low vertical ratio for a run that was this long and this hilly. So pretty happy with that. And then average ground contact time was 207 milliseconds. So also relatively good. Anything close to 200 for me or lower is pretty fast. Most of my speed sessions are under 200, but that's on a track with no hills and very fast paces. So 207, very, very happy with that, and hopefully can improve on some of these running dynamics in next year's race. Um, and then hopefully we can get into the actual lap times. So here are all my 14 kilometers of worth of times and cumulative times and distance and average pace. So we can hopefully see where I can improve on for next year. So I probably won't go through all of these kilometers, but I'll point out some of the important ones maybe so you can see where some of the big points in the race were. So for example, first kilometer 4:08, which is very, very slow, and probably wanted to get out at about 3:15, 3:20 pace, but you can see first kilometer 4:08, which was probably because there were 90,000 people running it. And even though I was in the one of the faster groups, there were still so many people ahead of me that I had to try to weave through and get past. And 4:08 was just because I had to try to get through so many people that it ended up being a slower kilometer than what I wanted, which isn't good. But then you can see the next kilometer was 2:59. So an extraordinarily fast kilometer. That just so happened that this entire kilometer happened to be completely downhill. So at this point in time, I had gotten through all the people, I had run past all the people, and there were enough space for me to have my own like sort of lane, and I was able to fit in, and there was no jostling for position, and I was able to get into a nice rhythm. And with the downhill, it happened to get a 3 minute kilometer, which is perfect and can't ask for anything better. And then most of it was pretty good. You can see 3:24, 3:23, 3:13, 3:20, so about that sort of pace. But then we got to Heartbreak Hill, which is at the seventh kilometer. And if you know anything about this course, if you've read anything or seen anything online, you'll know that Heartbreak Hill is about 6, 7 kilometers, and it is terrible. It is so hard, such a big hill. It lasts for like 2 or 3 kilometers, and it is awful. So you can see the seventh kilometer went from my timed pace of about 3:13, 3:20, straight down to a 4:16, which is horrific, I know, but I just couldn't do anything about it. My legs were not moving any faster. And you can see that even though the next kilometer did not have all the hill, there was still like half a kilometer of hill, which is why it is a 3:42 um instead of a 3:22. So then you can see that I got back down to the 3:24s, 3:35s, 3:34s, 3:12s. And then you can see I'll show you the map after I look at the laps, but you can see that from about 11 kilometers, that's when the downhill starts. And you can see 3:12, 3:07, 3:18 for my last 3 kilometers, and I was able to pull off a total time of 48:45. So very, very happy with that. And you can just see my heart rate increase so much, where it goes starting at about 140, in the 140s, 148, 142, but then gets so high so quickly. And then about when it gets to um Heartbreak Hill, or the very big hill at 7 kilometers, you can see that it hits the 183s, 181s, and the max heart rate go up to 189, 183, 186. So extraordinarily fast, and it stayed about the same for the entire run, where it was high 170s for the rest of the run. Um, but I will then go back up to the map up here and kind of break down certain points in the run where certain those certain kilometers were happening. So you can see it started in Hyde Park in the city, and the first kilometer or so was quite hard to get through. It's quite slow. You can see the little heat map where blue is slower and red is faster. So you can see the fast and slow points of my run, and then you can see the like green which is kind of the middle. But we'll go back to the start where, yeah, the first kilometer or so, which is all this blue bit here, you can see it not very fast, but then you can see where it gets very, very fast. I'm assuming this is the second kilometer where I had to speed up, and I got up to my 2:59 around here. And then you can see most of it was pretty good. You can see a lot of yellows, oranges, reds, greens here until you get to Heartbreak Hill, which is near Rose Bay and um, Point Piper, and this point here where you can see it's very, very big dark blue section, which is the start of Heartbreak Hill here, and it goes all the way up to um when you get out here to what, like close to Watson's Bay, and you can see all the dark blue, which was my 4:16 kilometer here, and you can see that it doesn't get much better until down out near Dover Heights, where that was probably about where the end of the hill happens. Near, and you can see that once we get out of this little dark blue section here, it starts to speed up here, and you'll notice that it goes from green to red all the way down until we finish the race. And if you zoom into the finish line, it is such a hard last kilometer. You come around down the hill, but then you get to the end point at the start of the beach, and you can see the finish line. You're so close, but you just have to do this stupid little U-turn, and it's so hard to get through because you have 1 kilometer left because of this long winding end point, and you run past all the people that get to this finish line, and you see everyone finish, but deep down you know that you have 1 kilometer left, and it is just heartbreaking. But yeah, that was roughly how my course happened for me, and it is a very, very difficult course with all the little hills and turns and a very big hill in the middle, and it was not the best of weather. It was raining the whole time, and luckily I was able to get not too wet, but it was very, very difficult to get through. And hopefully next year I can pace it a bit better and actually complete it with somewhat of a bigger improvement than I did this year. I was kind of hoping for anything under 48 minutes, but 48:45 is still a very, very good PB, and hopefully I will be able to improve even better for next year. So yeah, that is all for my my video here, and I will hopefully have a couple more videos coming out soon. I have a few planned, and hopefully they'll be out in the next couple of weeks or so. But they'll have to get filmed and then they'll have to get edited. So hopefully you guys can be patient with me, and hopefully if you like this video, you can give it a like, give it a subscribe, tell your friends, tell people. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later.